Good evening and welcome to the big story here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. On the big story this evening, we'll be taking a look at this presidential pardon, by the President and the Council of State. I'm Zainab Balogun-Olowu. So, controversy has continued to trail President Bola Tinubu's recent presidential pardon and clemency of 175 individuals. And, this crime ranged from murder to drug trafficking, illegal mining, amongst others. Now, out of this 175 beneficiaries, 17 received presidential pardon, including 11 posthumously. 82 were granted clemency, 65 had their prison terms reduced, while 7 death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment. Among the beneficiaries are Miriam Sanda, who was sentenced to death in 2020 for the murder of her husband, the late Major General Maman Vatsa, executed in 1986 over an alleged coup plot, and late nationalist Herbert Macaulay, regarded as the father of Nigerian nationalism. Others include former lawmaker Farouk Lawan, convicted in a bribery scandal, and members of the Ogoni 9 and 4. According to the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, he said the move followed recommendations by the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy, chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi. And this was announced after the meeting of the National Council of State held last week, Thursday. Now, what he explained was the exercise was guided by criteria such as old age, the acquisition of new vocational skills, or enrollment in the National Open University of Nigeria, amongst other reasons. Well, the decision has not gone down well with everyone, as opposition voices, civil society organizations have criticized the gesture. But today on The Big Story, we'll be examining the implications of this presidential pardon. Is it truly an act of justice and compassion, or is it just political? Joining me on the program, we'll have 2 guests. But our first guest on the program this evening is the media advisor and spokesperson to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. We have Mr. Paul Ibe. Good evening, Mr. Ibe. It's great to have you on the program.
Good evening. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much for joining us. And, I saw the reaction by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He said, this is very reckless, it's conniving, it erodes moral authority, emboldens lawlessness. We can go on and on about what he said. But, is this the reason? Is this what he really sees, as what the president has done, knowing that, every other president has also, given this prerogative of mercy. They have it in the Constitution.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Yes, it is a constitutional provision, and the president, has a right to exercise, to wield that power. But every power must be wielded with some responsibility. And in this case, that responsibility, was absent. Because how do you explain the situation where 29.2% of all of the offenders are drug, offenders? 29.2%. And when you add up all of those involved in, one crime or the other, illegal mining, we don't even know where that is coming, which was number 2, in terms of the numbers, more than half all of those, criminal activities, those involved in all of that, more than half. And so it beggars the question, what is the essence? What motivated, this part? Because there must be a motivation. Especially, in a country like ours, where quid pro quo, it's a common thing. If you look at it also, through all of it, all VIPs, very important people, people who know somebody. Where are the common people, in this, in this list? And fortunately, those common people, citizens, are the ones that they will use, a sledgehammer to kill a fly. Normally the kind of offense, the kind of, crimes they will get will be disproportionate, to the crime that they have committed. So, the president before, presidents after will exercise the prerogative of, presidential pardon and all of that. But it's not only Vice President Atiku Abubakar who is raising an eyebrow about it. I mean, a lot of Nigerians, are saying that, the president is emerged in drug, related, issues. Don't forget, he forfeited $460,000, following investigations, by the narcotics, department, in the United States, and he forfeited money. And a man who is innocent does not forfeit money. There was an agreement that was reached between him and the authorities in the U.S., back then. So it is bad optics. People will be wondering,
Okay.
is this president favoring his constituency, quote and unquote?
All right. Some of these persons giving this pardon. I mean, if you talk about Miriam Sanda, her husband was the son of a former um, national president of the PDP, if I am correct. Yes, the son of a former PDP national chairman. There are some persons on that list that you probably, really don't know, except the persons on the list shouldn't be there.
I wouldn't know, but I do know for a fact, if we are to go back, and the president of this president, this is a president that has abundant governance for politics. So all of the calculations they make, have political implications, all geared towards 2027, when he has made little or nothing with the mandate that he has. So in the case of Sanders, for example, that you spoke about, we all are aware of the efforts that were made to frustrate that trial and all of that. We saw it clearly. But at the end of the day, the court, found her, guilty. And there was clearly also reports that, there were at times, I think about 5 times, to try to kill her. And so this is a deliberate crime. How do you expect the family, that have lost their son? How do you expect them to take this? It will open up, the wounds of the pain that they are trying to endure, for years now. And so those are some of the, things that need to be considered. I think that the committee, fails, the president in this, task. And if it were elsewhere, where people, are held accountable for their actions, the Attorney General, will have excused himself, will have resigned, his portfolio. So those are some of the aspects. And I don't rule out, it will go, may have taken place, in that. And this is the government that has used all the instruments of state to try to coerce, to intimidate, the opposition, for example. You are aware of that, and to decimate them, and so that everybody will be in one basket, the APC. And so some of these, efforts of his, using the instrumentality of the presidential academy, have also have come to play.
Okay. So if we look back at it, right, remember the time of Goodluck Jonathan when he also gave that presidential pardon, Joshua Dariye, and people were talking about corruption. So we have also always seen maybe issues like this, right? And can you pin this on the president? Because he has to also consult with the National Council of State to take this decision. And if you look at people, in the Council of State, we have former presidents, we have former chief justices of Nigeria, we have the National Human Rights Commission. And so if they saw this list and they felt like, well, these names shouldn't be there. These are people, maybe murder, illegal minors, drug trafficking, and the rest of it. Why are we giving such persons, pardon? But they were there. They approved this list. This was, announced after that National Council of State meeting. So can we really pin the president for this, especially knowing, just like you said, that he has, it's in the constitution that he can do this in consultation with the National Council of State?
The buck stops on the table of the president. The Council of State is merely advisory. And I can't recall at any time in history when a president has taken, something to the Council of State and the Council of State turned it down. So, that's actually mere formality. Moreover, I want to believe that the meeting of the Council of State probably did not last for more than 3 hours. They have the time to properly distill the information that was available in the memorandum and in the attachment, to it? Did they do that as you and I and Nigerians have? Do they have the figures? Do they have the percentage of the sectors or the people, the numbers? We now know that 29.2% of those people are drug offenders, and that cumulatively, those that were involved in serious crimes, criminal were about more than half, the number. They didn't know all of that. I doubt that sincerely, that they knew those numbers. They didn't have those information, out there. So it's not the Council of State is, it's not an advice report. The box stops on the table of the president. He is the one that we know. We do not know, the Council of State or whoever it is. The president will take both the credit and the debit, for this.
I would say they also have a role to play. I mean, you present a list, you should also check, those persons on that list to know, okay, really, if you're giving your consultation, because at the end of the day, you say, okay, they approve this. Now, on the part of the vice president, what, would he have done if, he was in that position? What kind of justice or reform or, mercy policy does he believe Nigeria should have instead if he's saying, this isn't right? Remember the time of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, he also gave pardon. And there was this particular man at the time, he was young, is it Kayode Williams? And he was an armed robber, right? And, we knew situations of places that he has attacked and all of those things that he had robbed. But he was also, granted this presidential pardon, and that was under the former vice president's, administration as well. So what kind of reform would you say you're expecting when it comes to, issues like this, when it comes to justice?
Well, listen, the former vice president was the vice president then. He wasn't the president, so he wasn't wielding executive power. Like I said, the buck, at the table of President Obasanjo then, as he was the president, the buck stops now on the table of President Tinubu as he is the president. Having said that, I think rather than, we don't have any reservations about people being given a second chance. No reservations about that. Absolutely not. What we're saying is that we should not be trying to have mercy. We should not be trying to correct, some injustice that may have been done, to give people a second chance, and thereby we're not creating, other problems. We should not be enabling crime. For example, what will this message be to people who, probably want to travel the road of getting into the drug business, considering the huge work that the NDLE is doing? And so this is practically in the service to the NDLE and the work that it is doing. Because this can embolden other people to travel that same route, to get involved in drug business, with the understanding that, okay, you go to jail, somewhere along the line, they'll be pardoned, to go and stay no more. I don't think that is what we need. What we need, seriously, is judicial reform. Judicial reforms that will, to take into consideration a whole lot of, wrongs, things that are not, do not mean well for our justice, system.
Okay.
To ensure that people who are guilty are punished and go to jail instead of in our land where the innocent often are the ones who are served the shortest end of it.
So is this an issue of the kind of persons he pardoned? Because at the end of the day, you said it, presidents can do that. They can give that presidential pardon, clemency. It happens everywhere in the world. If you go to the US, President Donald Trump, also gave presidential pardon to someone who was involved in murder. So if you go on and on, so is it about the persons? What would the former vice president do if he was in such a situation? He too was to grant presidential pardon. what was he going to do? How would he have done it? If you could shed more light on that.
We are not condemning, the pardon in its entirety. No.
Okay.
But we have serious exceptions to the category of a person. It is very concerning that in all of this list, like I said, we have 29.2% removal drug offenders. And like I said, this president forfeited $460,000 in the United States. I mean, Chief Ganifa is so arrested on bail way back in 1999, thereabout, at the turn of this new democratic dispensation. And the president, the president now, who was governor of Lagos State, who had been prosecuted because of the immunity, that he enjoyed. And so that did not happen. Now, today he is the president. Okay. It is part of it. For a country that's already dealing with the controversies around, his person, around his, the time that he stayed in the U.S., over his, reform of $460,000, I mean, we don't need to keep trolling, this country. We don't need to be in the eyes, of the international community, for the wrong reason. I mean,
all right, Mr. Ibe, because we have to, wrap up now, right? And you've made your point. I do not want to go back to the drug trafficking, situation or the forfeiture. I just stated this is not holding brief for anybody, but what they had said in courts and the rest of it. And because we've also seen situations like this outside of the country, so are we saying, now putting that to the president as okay, this is what he's doing. And you talked about 2027. That all of this might just be as a result of politics. So is it that these persons will help him in 2027? That's why he's trying to pardon them? Or, why did you say it is political? One thing they said is, it's because of old age. Two, is because these persons have showed remorse. Three, some of them have applied to, the now university, and some have been able to take vocational skills. So are you saying these are not good enough reasons to pardon, people like this if probably they've shown remorse or, because of old age and the rest of it? How is it political?
We are not speaking to individuals' cases.
Okay.
Like I said, we are looking at the numbers. And that's concerning. Like I said, I need to restate it, for emphasis. 29.2% of a total number of, that means that about 3 persons, out of every 10 that were granted pardon were drug, were people for drug related issues. And then, illegal mining. And you don't even know, like I said, where that is coming from. I mean, why that should have, become a list. And let's look at the issue of Farouk Lawal. He's a politician. His case was celebrated. It was there, and it was, for long, and it was eventually, executed. I don't know if he's old. I wouldn't know how old he is. I wouldn't know if he's ill, he has a medical situation. But clearly, I mean,
he has finished serving his sentence.
Country that is dealing with corruption. And so why would we reward him? A politician who has, was involved in corruption and that was proved to be honest with doubt.
All right. All right, Mr. Ibe, thank you so much. Right. Because some other persons have looked at, is this politics on the part of the former vice president as well? Using the situation, to just again speak ill of the president or criticize, the president. Is that the situation?
Is that your opinion or the opinion of your listener? It appears you're giving what appears to be your own opinion.
No, that's just clarification because people are, just like you said, politics, and some persons feel this is all about politics, it's all about 2027, and each side, just trying to gain the confidence of Nigerians or, if it's the interest of Nigerians. And so that's why I'm, trying to ask you that. Is that what it is?
It is not. I mean, as citizens, every citizen has, we have the right to hold both our elected and our appointed, officials, hold them accountable, for their actions. And so this is what it's all about. I mean, the vice president is speaking, as a Nigerian citizen. I am doing same, and it's our collective voices that will eventually, government, towards the right, direction. Otherwise, like people keep saying, they say that, he has absolute power. But my position is that no matter how absolute that power is, it must be weighted with responsibility.
All right. Thank you so much, media advisor and spokesperson to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Paul Ibe. We do appreciate your time on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And would get through to our second guest right now, who, is a member of the All Progressives Congress, is also a lawyer, is also a public affairs analyst. And it's on the situation of the presidential pardon and clemency that the president has given to about 175 individuals from crimes relating to illegal mining, drug trafficking, gun running, murder, amongst others. And according to the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said this move followed recommendations by the Presidential Advisory Committee on the prerogative of mercy. And also, this took into consideration old age, the acquisition of new vocational skills, and the rest of it. I think we have Mr. Demola Elubode on the line, who is a lawyer, public affairs analyst, and again, of the All Progressives Congress. Good evening, Mr. Elubode. It's great to have you on the program.
Good evening. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. And you?
I'm doing well. So I'd just like to get your, reaction to this presidential pardon, by the president to 175 individuals. And we've seen opposition parties, the ADC, the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, they've come out to say this is just, conniving, very reckless based on the names on this list. What's your reaction to that?
Well, to start with, the presidential pardon, right from its inception, has attracted a lot of disaffection among the public in the way in the way they see those who are beneficiaries of this presidential prerogative of mercy, the way they perceive them as not really entitled to benefit from this pardon. And the reason is very simple. If we are to look at, we have to look at it from two main angles. One, from the legal angle, and two, from the moral angle. Now, if we look at the presidential pardon of prerogative of mercy, from the legal angle, it is valid. There is no way you can force it, because the lay-down procedure gives a kind of blanket power to exercise this pardon. And it is only what the Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative, whatever they present to the President, is what the President is going to use to present to the Council of State, from where he's going to get his power to exercise. When you look at it from this legal angle, you find out that the pardon is valid to a very large extent, because it's the lay-down procedure. But come to think of it from the angle, it is not all that sweet that somebody who was recently convicted of a murder has been granted pardon. An average Nigerian, an average public would look at it that, what is wrong with our system? Are we encouraging criminality, or we are discouraging it? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, nobody looks at whether the lay-down procedure has been, complied with, and whether it has not been complied with. The only thing they see is that, so person was convicted of a so offense, and that person has not released based on pardon. it doesn't speak well of us as a nation, truly. But
Okay.
if you have to look at it, in totality, what Mr. President has done or what any governor must have done in terms of presidential pardon or governor's state pardon, then looking at it from the legal angle, they are all valid. That is my opinion.
Okay.
But when you look at it morally, they are all wrong.
All right. Okay, when you look at it morally, right, and just like you said, the Constitution states it, but it doesn't state, okay, these are the persons that you can give pardons, or maybe for this particular type of crime, like you said, it's just open and you can give.
The Constitution, sorry
Yeah.
to cut you. The Constitution under Section 175 says the President may grant any person found or convicted of any offense. That is the wording of that constitutional provision.
Yeah.
There is no specific offense that the President cannot, pardon under this provision. I think that is why I said it gives the President or the governor the blanket power to pardon for any offense.
Okay.
If not, there ought to be some specific offenses that, even if there is going to be any pardon for such an offense, there must be strictly laid down conditions to be met.
All right.
But this is situation, yes.
Okay. And, I'll take you back to, you talked about the legal points. And so let me take you back to politics now. And you are sentimental towards the APC, if I'll put it that way, right?
Yes, hello?
I said you're sentimental towards the APC, right?
Okay.
So do you think that's an issue of politics? Because, we had the media advisor to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and he said, this is just for 2027, pardoning these persons. And then looking at the situation, if you're looking at the crime, illegal mining, drug trafficking, gun running, murder, and maybe this is just to get votes from, persons and the rest of it. Do you think that's what this presidential pardon really is? Especially because you just said, according to the Constitution, right, the president can forgive any offense. So even if the committee presents a list, it kind of still stops on the president's table to, give his consent or not.
So, situation is quite pathetic. Now, let me explain it this way. The president has more than enough duty to attend on a daily basis. Now, and that is why the Constitution says for this particular presidential power exercise, there are committee to be constituted. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And that committee is headed by the Attorney General of the Federation. He is expected to, compile the list, give a report of the attitude of those who are to benefit from this pardon, meaning that whoever that has applied for this pardon, the committee is, has the duty to maybe to the prison where the person is being held, have one-on-one interaction with them, so as to know whether these intending beneficiaries, whether they have been able to show any remorse. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Whether they have been able to change the person from what led them to being imprisoned. Whether there is any condition laid down, because under that provision, the committee is to look into some of these things and see that whoever that is from this presidential pardon has been able to prove that he is now a new person. But that is not the issue. The issue is that have they been going around to see, to visit inmates at various prisons, to interact with them, to know that, oh, this person has become new, or this person has, shown any remorse, or that this person has been able to regret what he has done.
Because you can pretend,
doing that.
for instance. And so how do Nigerians know? So you pardon these people saying, oh, good behavior, old age, and the rest of it. How do Nigerians know that, okay, these people have actually really changed? This is what we did to know that, yes, this person has changed, this person is better, they've learned his skill, they will do better. How do Nigerians know all of that?
That is the problem. Nigerians ought to be in the know that, oh, this is what. Look at the situation where there was a particular lawyer, a female lawyer, who killed her husband some years back in Oyo State, and this lady was sentenced to death. You understand? By the same court. But all of a sudden, this woman was released under state pardon. Do you understand? And so the question people will be asking is, what has she done to deserve such a pardon? Like this issue of Safia, what do they call it now? Under this presidential pardon, the latest one, Mayam Sanda, who killed her own husband 2 years back also. And people are saying, oh, he has a 3-month-old baby as at the time of that incident and all this stuff. No, that is not the issue. When you look at these two instances now, the one in Oyo State and this one of Mayam Sanda now, they involve women. And so an average man on the street can also say, oh, when women commit murder cases now, when they commit crime of murder now, this is the way government always release them from prison under presidential pardon or state pardon. And so
because we have to go. So that's what I'm asking. I mean, they have said this is 2027. All of this is just towards 2027. Do you think that's what the president is trying to do? Get the win for himself, APC, and this is why he's doing this. Do you think it's just political?
No, I don't really believe in that. I am an APC, but I don't really believe in that because why? This is not. It is not for political gain, so to speak. It has to do with a kind of duty laid down by the Constitution for Mr. President to, act upon yearly. Do you understand? So this is not for any political gain, but the opposition can see it from that angle in the same way they are seeing it now. But to me, I don't see it that way.
Do you know why they're saying it that way? Some have talked about because of the numbers, right? If you look at the pardons, 29.2 drug traffickers, illegal minors, over 20%, murders, gun runners. And so some persons have said, look at the list of persons. I mean, if you compare to other presidents who have given presidential pardon. And, it's been said it should be more of moral and, compassion. Okay, maybe people who were wrongly convicted and the rest of it. So giving that presidential pardon, not people who maybe they were given 17 years and they've just spent 3 years, 4 years, and because of what we're not sure exactly they are allowed to, they're giving this pardon. And so what do you think about, that situation of the persons, on the list? What can be done? Can anything be done? Because it's the Constitution, as well. So should there be a particular, kind of person that you look at? Because this is what all the oppositions are now saying. It has to be based on compassion, moral justice, not just putting anybody there.
Well, it is, to me, it is morally wrong to pardon infamous criminals or convicted killers, especially when there is no solid proof of their rehabilitation or regret. Do you understand? Because it erodes public confidence in the legal system. Now, if we are to look at this pardon critically, like I said, there is no way you can fault it legally. But morally, it is faulty, 100%. You understand? Like what you have just listed now. I said the constitutional provision did not say, oh, this is the kind of people the president can grant pardon. These are the people that the president cannot grant pardon, or these are the numbers. The president can grant any number. Do you understand? But the issue is that are we making this pardon to discourage further crime or to encourage it? Now, to me, looking at it from the moral angle, we are encouraging more people to commit crime. Do you understand now? Now, it is irrelevant whether they are minors, whether they are this or that. In the past, we have seen terrorists, convicted terrorists under Buhari's administration. We have seen convicted terrorists granted a state pardon. Do you understand? We have, even under this particular one, we have a particular House of Rep member that was also granted a pardon, who was convicted of bribery and corruption. You understand? And so the question is, when you want to exercise the power of pardon, and you have included people with crimes that that are so heinous, you are bound to be criticized for exercising such power. Do you understand?
All right.
So no reasonable person would see that exercise. That committee should make their findings public. They should have justification for all the names suggested for any state pardon. Then there must also be conditional pardons for those people like those who have been convicted of murder. Now, you can't just give them pardon, all in the name of celebrating independence or whatever, or exercising prerogative of mercy. There must be laid down conditions.
Okay.
Right. So the Constitution must be amended in that regard. It shouldn't be the committee submitting any name and the president will just, signing.
Okay.
No, it shouldn't be like that.
All right. In 30 seconds, if you may, we have to go. But what's your thoughts? Because opposition have now come out to say, oh, remember the case that, the president and, he has not been convicted of drug trafficking or anything. But because of that issue, people are saying, oh, see the person's on the list. That says something. Does he really say anything?
I don't get what you're saying, please.
I said, so the names on the list, you've seen the opposition parties. I mean, we had Mr. Poliboy here who said, oh, remember the U.S. issue, the drug situation. And I said, well, he was not convicted of that. But he said, they have said, well, that kind of says something when you then check the list to see that 29% of those persons convicted, pardoned were people involved in drugs and the rest of it. How do you react to that?
Well, that one is irrelevant to me. It is irrelevant. Irrelevant in the sense that, like I said earlier, there is no specification of who should be pardoned or who should not be pardoned.
All right.
You understand?
Okay.
And that is where the Constitution should be amended. That's all. If, for instance, now, are we saying if a terrorist attacks a part of the country now and that person is arrested and convicted, and so within 3 years that person is now granted state pardon, do we want to continue in such? No, we shouldn't. The Constitution must be amended to say, look, before you are granted state pardon, these are the things you must fulfill.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Demola Elubode. You're a lawyer, member of the All Progressives Congress in Osun State, right? And public affairs analyst. We do appreciate your insights into this discussion. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, always. Thank you.
All right. And that's the conversation on the big story this evening. We'll take some messages. You can join me on the round table.
For your daily dose of the news, information, and relaxing fun, stay glued to Radio Now 95.3 FM all day, every day.